next week, August 4th, there's going to be a bake sale, fundraiser for Sunday school, and help Sunday school buy supplies that they need to teach all those little kids. And so buy some treats and have some coffee. And there will also be, stick around, there's going to be ham and rolls, because Pastor will be back next week. Things will return to normal. We pretend people will all be gone. So, and on Sunday, September 8th is when Rally Day starts. And I think there's going to be food and all that kind of stuff. There's also going to be, Sunday school is collecting pet food this time. So start buying pet food. There's lots out there. Bring some stuff in for those little kitties and doggies. Let's see what else. We're also for the health kits, there's a little sample out there. Get this, this, and this. This is how you put it together. And we're also going to be doing the Long John October. Big work. But there's always a need for, I guess, long underwear when it gets cold outside. So kind of, hopefully pretty soon we'll be having it'll be coming out for sale, stuff like that. And I think that's about it. Does anybody has anything else they need to speak now or forever hold your peace? So, okay. Well, welcome again. And gathering song. Let's sing the song. Verses 2 through 4. He said to them, when you pray, say, Father, hallowed be their name, your kingdom come. Give us each day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins. For we ourselves forgive everyone indebted to us. And do not bring us to the time of trial. So, I'm the last in the lineup for this month. Pastor gets back next week, as we were talking about. Having a little welcome back. And thanks to Pastor Frank, Matt, and Priscilla, who each brought us their own perspective on the Lord's Prayer. That was our assignment this month, was a big part of the Lord's Prayer and sermonize it. So now it's my turn. And when it was first suggested that it takes Sunday to sermonize, my first thought was, very fun. This is definitely something that's in my wheelhouse. And I'm not a singer-songwriter like Pastor Frank, so I couldn't do that. And you don't want to hear me sing. You'd agree. I'm not like Priscilla, who really wanted to do this. The minute she was asked, she knew what she wanted to talk about, and that's what she did. And I wasn't Matt, who really has a calling to do this, and very passionate about it. So, I'm just someone who isn't really sure how I ended up here, and that's the truth. Now, I didn't grow up going to Sunday school, to church. Excuse me, I had to write it down there. I really wandered off. And I don't have a favorite Bible verse. As a matter of fact, St. Mark's is the only church that I've been part of. And that wasn't until I was almost 30. And it was Joe's home church when he was growing up. And we ended up coming here with our kids. And I was a part of it for quite a while. I taught Sunday school. I belonged to some organizations and things like that. I was on the council. I did Bible studies. And then I became disillusioned by a lot of the hypocrisy I was seeing. And so I left for a long time. And now I'm back. And that's no small part due because of Pastor King. I like his thoughts on things. I like his perspective on things. And now I'm here having to write a sermon and struggling with what wisdom I could possibly possess to impart to you. And it was a struggle in no part due to my ADD. I'd start to think, well, I could say this. And then, squirrel, I could say that. Squirrel, I could say that. And it was really hard to do. And we each were assigned, like I said, one part of the Lord's Prayer. And me being last in the lineup, mine was, lead me not into temptation. Lead us not into temptation. So, it's a big subject. sure there's a lot of sermons that have been written on it. We've heard a lot about it. It's filled with how easy it is to give into it, how to avoid it, ask for God's help. It's here, it's there. So there's lots of paths I could go down on temptation. Thing is, the only thing that popped into my head at the time was something I had read. Opportunity may knock only once, but temptation leans on the doorbell. Pretty hard to ignore, but remember, you don't have to answer it. And these words of wisdom came from a Pinterest board I had. A lot of you, I'm sure, have your own boards and know about it. And it's called You Don't Say. I've always loved reading the power of words, and it's something that's always interested me. And thus, I have this collection of words and sayings on my board. And some of them I found humorous, some are just meaningful and thought-provoking, and things that lead me down to good thoughts. Words such as shoshin. It's the practice of seeing life with wonder. There's so much to see, fill us with wonder, and God has given us flowers, and rainbows, sunsets, and sunrises. Take time to look them up. Look at them, really look at them, and marvel at them. And while you're at it, add some of them to Susan's board, a wall of gratitude. And words such as komori. It's a Japanese word that means sunlight that filters through the leaves of trees. I have a picture of this in my house that I photographed on one of our camping trips. And the sun came out and you can see the sunshine coming through the trees. And in order to see this, one has to be in the shade or in the darkness. And we can be in the darkest of times, and then, like the sun, hope shines down to light our way. My board also contains sayings such as, well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Sometimes we like to blame God. Why did he let this happen to me? What did I do? Why did this happen? But if we look deeper, sometimes we can say God didn't let this happen to us. We did it to ourselves. We had an accident because we were sleep deprived. Our cholesterol or blood sugar tests weren't what we wanted them to be. Maybe we're on medication now. Or maybe that's because we haven't been eating right or exercising. Or we spend too much time binge watching TV. Now, sometimes bad things just do happen. And sometimes it's because of our own actions. We just need to recognize the difference. I think it's weird how some days I feel reasonably healthy, and other days I feel like a busted can of biscuits. We all have our ups and downs, good days and bad days, and we're all struggling through. And it's good at that time to have our community. And here at St. Mark's, we have a community to help us celebrate the healthy days and also gather us up when we're that can of busted biscuits. Because Mama said there'd be days like these. Times when the seas get rough and we're tossed by the tempest. Look at the disciples in the boat with Jesus. Things got pretty dicey there, but in the end, the waters calmed and everything was okay. Now, a few weeks ago, we went on a camping trip, maybe a week or so ago, and it was Joe and I, Jim and Sharon, and our nephews, Paul, and Daniel. Now, for the first day, Jim said, let's go canoe and portage. Now, canoeing and portage is you canoe, and then you take the boat out of the water, you lift it up or carry it across the land to the next lake, put it back in, canoe again, you lift it back up, do that again, and you do that again. And it's like 3 lakes that we're on, and then we're going to do a river in the end. So, now, our canoes are old and heavy. They're not like the new light ones. They're older and heavier. And let's face it, we were older and heavier too. So it was a bit of a struggle. But we accomplished it. We did it. Even if, some of us really old people, we did it. Now the last part of the portage, and this is going to be the last part of the trip, was a river called the Mighty Stevenson. So after carrying our canoes up this, oops, I'm trying not to get that one over here, up this hill and down and over roots and everything and having to pause and put it down and rest and pause and put the canoe and up the steep hill and down. We came at last to where the put-in point was for our last part of the trip. We were going to go down this beautiful river, according to Joe, and we were going to, that was going to be the last part. Well, when we got there, the part where we were supposed to go across like this boardwalk and then go on to this pier, the boardwalk, it wasn't there. It was like a board here, a baby board there, and mud, like this deep. And we had to get our canoes down into the water. And then there was the pier, which was tipped about this much, and it wasn't all there. So at this point, we had two choices. We could turn around, portage back up, back down, across the lake, back up, back down, across the lake, back up, back down, across the lake, back to where we started from. Well, there wasn't an option going for it. So we jury-rigged boards that so we could hop, skip, and jump across the mud. We barely got any mud on us, hardly. And loaded up, and on we went. Turned out, this was not the most challenging part of our journey. There were beautiful lily pads, but there were huge swaths of it that you had to work your way through, and just work your way through. And there were still like sand pizza rugs, like silk through. So half the time you were just like pushing with the paddle, trying to get through. And you couldn't really get out too, and push your canoe off because it'd sink in. So there's a lot of effort. And after a while, I still have not recovered from being sick this spring. So Joe and I were in a canoe with Paul. Jim, Daniel, and Sharon were in the other canoe. It's like, I was of no use to Joe. I was just struggling. I was like, I'm just going to sit here in tears and leave me out of sand. Well, we switched canoe. Daniel came in our canoe to paddle with Joe, and I switched. And we did this in the river without tipping the boats, without anything, very proud of myself. And then, turned out, again, this wasn't even the biggest challenge. It turned out to be beaver dams. We would travel in and all of a sudden the path would be blocked and you couldn't get over it. So we'd have to get out of the canoe, find another way, drag the canoe over the grass onto the next part of the river. And we did that several times, always stopped by beaver dams. We finally, and in the middle of this we had a downpour. So we finally got to it's the last part. And of course, what was there? A beaver cave. Sharon got out, she's like, maybe we could. And it's like, Sharon, get back in the canoe. So we had to get back in, work our way up, very slowly, because your paddle was just pushing on the ground, and we're rocking and trying to get through. We had to turn around and go back, and we found a put-out point. Turned out it was like a man-made, somebody had been trapped on the river. And we had to climb up and onto a busy road. The cars were boom, boom, boom. So there we were waiting. Jim and our nephew Daniel walked back, fortunately, because it was close to the put-out point. They walked back to the car we had put on that side, because you put one car where you start and one car where you end. So they came back and we all piled into one car, everybody. The canoes on top, all the paddles, all the gear, everything, all our people were, go back, get back to camp. We're there. So, attitude can be the difference between an adventure and ordeal. Jim's attitude was, wow, it is so pretty out here. I'm so glad we're doing this, despite. Look at the beautiful lily pads. This is just so pretty. I'm glad we did this. Josie, they had done this river like 20 years ago. Wow, there weren't this many beaver dams before. This is so cool. Whoa. and we are probably going to reward him the helping the elderly badge. God says, be still and know, not freak out and question everything. So adjust those sails, ride those waves, push through those troubling times, but beautiful lily pads, and keep going until you hit calm seas and a clear path. Every time I witness a strong person, I want to know, what darkness did you conquer in your story? Mountains do not rise without earthquakes. So take some time to know about our church community. Learn their stories. What darkness did they travel through? What shook their lives? Or what are they going through now? What rough seas have they traveled? Who are these individually unique children of God? And while you're waiting for the sun to shine and the seas to calm, do what waiters do. Serve. That's something that St. Mark's excels in. From the community garden to our fundraisers, feeding the homeless, collections for poor people, and dogs and cats in need, to the quilters and Mike's many meals, from Robin and Lance and Emily and Doug, who bring us the joys of music, and Jim and the boys and the girls in the band, whose music brings a smile to our faces and tippy taps to our toes. And I forgot about Joe, who's a doer of all things. As Jana Sandfield reminds us, I cannot do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. And finally, in the words of Nikita Gill, I hope you are blessed with a heart like a wildflower. This would always, strong enough to rise again after being trampled upon, tough enough to weather the worst of summer storms, and able to grow and flourish